Hi, welcome to Art Chats con la Mitotera. I'm your host, Mel Dominguez. Today, we have an artist that I'm super excited to bring to you all. That artist's name is Rezmo. Graffiti artist, female. She's a mom. Gets down. I was talking to her the other day, and she's been working on a lot of projects. So, I can't wait to introduce you to her, because then we could talk more about it. Rezmo.
It's not a lot. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh, great. It's just I can see you and I can hear you, but I can't everything keeps freezing.
Oh wow, that's wild. I mean, if you're down to do the interview like this, they just won't know what you look like. Almost that. Can you please tell folks who you are and where you're calling us from?
My name is Rezmo, or I should introduce you how I usually, if I were to formally introduce myself. Ya'ate shike do shitane, shi'e Natasha Martinez yinashe, Henegatlianshle, Naghe Bashashin, Sitnajini Dashanale, Naghe Dashache. So my name is Natasha, but I go by Rezmo. A lot of people know me as Rezzy or Rez, or if you're my kids, Mama Rez. I live here in Arizona, but I am originally from Gallup, New Mexico. I was raised in and off the reservation out there. If you want to see what I look like, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook.
Well, can you tell folks how they can find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, you can look up Rezmoski. That's REZMOSKI. Facebook, you can go on Rezzy McFly.
Right on. That's dope. Can you tell us, when did you get started painting? Like, when did you start doing all this?
I started painting back in 2003. It's been a really long time since I started painting. So yeah, I started actually when I was out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And yeah, I just started out on the streets, and now here I am.
Well, I think it's really amazing. I think you were part of our Indigenous show last year, and that was a super cool show for us. Like, it felt like the whole block was taking over. Boom.
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing. Like, I think the piece that I painted for that show, I actually started when I was in LA. I was at a show for the Mexica New Year, and I started live painting there. And it was such a massive piece that I couldn't get it done the whole time that I was there. So I brought it back to Arizona, and I had it in my studio for so long. And so when David Moreno, he was like, hey, we want you to be part of the show. I was like, wow, dope. I just started this really huge piece, and, I'm really getting into it. And so, yeah, that's kind of where that came from. And it was amazing to me because, like I said, I started in East LA at a show for the Mexica New Year, and then all of a sudden it traveled to Tucson and it got to your gallery. So yeah, and I put a lot into that painting. It meant a lot to me.
What did that painting mean?
That is a Mexica deity. She's called Koyo Jikwi. And her story is basically about how the moon got to be. So it's basically telling our story of how we believe the Mexica way, that the moon is in the sky and the stars and stuff. It's pretty it's a pretty crazy story.
He gets his head cut off, right?
Yeah, all her limbs. She got all her limbs cut off, and then they spread it into the sky, and her head is essentially the moon. So, and in that painting, you will see both the influences of my Mexica roots and my Diné roots, because I'm also Diné. So you'll see her wearing the moccasins and wearing a sash belt, which most Diné women wear, after, well, it's supposed to be after childbirth. We wear those to keep our little pudge tucked in after childbirth, and that's why we wear our sash belts. And I remember the last time I wore mine, my grandma was like, just pull it until everything is just stuck inside there. And I'm like, okay, grandma, I can't breathe. Good, it's working.
Wow, that, man, see, and that's what I think that's what I like most about the art. and the artist is the story. There's so much story behind all of these things and what you create. Can you tell us about the little cartoons that you started making?
Yeah. My daughter, she's really into these dolls right now. And one day she just came up to me and she was like, "Mom," she's like, "can you draw with me?" So we draw, you know. Her and my son have the art bug really bad. So we started drawing and she was like, "Can you make one look more Navajo?" And I'm like, sure, you know. So we started drawing. I was like, "Hey, you know," and she's like, "Look, it's me, Mom." So after that happened, I was like, wow, you know, like she really related to that, you know? So it kind of just took off from there. And I'm really surprised, like, how fast it took off, and, you know, a lot of people hitting me up for it. So, and it's really cool because my daughter will come around when I'm drawing and she'll be looking at it and she'll be talking about it. And she'll be like, "Mom, is that you? Are you making you?" And I'm like, "Sure."
See,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I love that. I mean, and that's been the biggest thing. That's why I was saying, I'm like, I'm glad that you're a graffiti artist in the game, because there's people that need to see you out there doing this work, because then they can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's graffiti is my definitely my roots. Like all the stuff that I'm doing now, definitely jump started with graffiti, you know, like that's just what's always stuck. Like I prefer letters over, you know, a lot of stuff.
Look at, so wait, hold on, Melissa. Well, Melissa brought these little stickers she got,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and she's wondering if you still have some in stock.
I do. I do. I have a handful of them. Those tend to go really fast. So yeah, I do have a few though.
How much are they? Or like, how do you sell them by pack or something?
Yeah, I do a sticker pack. I do two for $3.
Oh yeah, you know what? Melissa's pointing some things out to me on there. But she's talking about the little sash that's on there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the sash and then the little concho belts in the middle.
See, that's dope. And you know what? That's been the biggest topic, was like belonging and identity.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
ever gotten young people going up to you and asking you like, "Hey, like, what's up?"
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's really cool because like before it's just, you know, when you're doing graffiti and stuff like that, you have all these people coming up, like older adults or like mostly men coming up and be like, "Hey, what's up? You know, I write, you know, let's talking about your piece and stuff like that." But now that I do like more of the little girls and stuff, and my daughter's been part of this, like a lot of little girls and even little boys are running up to my table and they're so excited and they're looking at it and they're like so excited that they know what it is and they can relate to it, you know? So I think that's amazing. Like I've been able to connect now to like a younger generation, you know, because it's just brought that, I guess, dialogue too, like is able to talk to them about it and their parents and stuff. So it's just it's a different perspective for me, honestly, and it's really good because my daughter inspired it.
Yeah, damn, it's got all the right stuff in there, you know?
Yeah, it's just amazing to me, you know, just being able to get a newer audience, you know, I guess.
Yeah, well, to keep it going, I mean, it's just a, I don't know how you say this the right way. I'm like, you're doing everything. Like, you get to have fun, where you educate, and then like you get to like, like you identify with others, and they identify with your artwork. It's like everything happening. It's on. They call it magic, I think.
Definitely, that's how I would describe it as magic.
Where can people see your art or your graffiti art?
Well, I live on the reservation in Salt River, and a lot of the places that I have are around here. So there's a lot of walls that I've hit up and stuff like that. And at Puente in Phoenix, I have a piece behind their wall. And as Yuku said before, that place Drumbeat on 16th and Indian School, we did a full mural. It was amazing to see all these women from so many different states and backgrounds come together and, you know, create this mural. And yeah, it's a little faded right now, but if you go to it, I remember after we were done, just walking up to it and just being like, holy cow, like we made that, just feeling that like connection, and the days that it was so hot, and just all these women like focusing on this big goal of getting it done, and a lot of them had to go back to their different cities and their different states and stuff like that. So it was kind of a bit of a rush, but the little time that we were allowed, got to do it, it just came together so amazing, So that was just that for me, like that's one of the walls you definitely got to check out, because it's so big.
Right on my road trip. Hey, there's somebody in the audience that wants to know where they can buy prints.
I don't have any more new prints right now, but in the future I can definitely get that going. Just with the COVID thing going on, during my downtime right now, I still work. So I'm actually working at the school on the reservation, and we distribute food out to the community Monday through Friday. And so a lot of my energy is going into that. And now that it's so hot, like by the time I get home, I'm like fried. But it's all good. I'll start getting the prints out again. I've been working on a few things here and there.
Created a mask and a T-shirt for a fundraiser.
I did, yeah. Well, the initial campaign was formed out of I guess the need to really want to help out right now. My family was stricken with COVID-19, the virus. My mom, my dad, my siblings, they were all going through a really rough time, and it was a really rough month for me. So going through that and not being able to actually be there with them, and feeling a little bit, I guess, helpless on my end that I couldn't really do anything for them. And also seeing the numbers coming out of the Navajo Nation, back home, that they were just increasing more and more and more. I really felt like there was something more that I could do, and I'm fortunate enough right now to have a job still. So I felt like, hey, I have my art. I have something that I can contribute. Like, hopefully we could do something with this and see if it takes off, And so the logo on the shirt is actually of a girl in a cape. And for me, it kind of symbolizes our resilience to this right now, especially like symbolically for my family, just having them all diagnosed and then having to go through it, and they're still like fighting. But, that's basically what that little girl in the middle symbolizes, in her turquoise and her sash belt and her moccasins, and, just. Yeah, so and the word underneath it is bitzil, which means like he or she is strong. It just depends on who you're talking to, so it's kind of like gender neutral. So it's that's what I really liked about it too, was because like you could say that about a boy and it refers to him, but if there's a little girl, then you could say that same word and it refers to the girl. So
you could say that to me and it would work.
So right now we're running the fundraiser off a site called Bonfire. They are actually working with people right now to help fundraise with their campaigns and stuff. So we basically just helped. We talked about it, gave them the information. We came up with what we wanted to do with the campaign, and it just kind of all fell in place because right now we can't really be in the same room with other people, like having meetings and getting inventory on our shirts. So this site allows them to do the work for us, but we promote our shirts and everything and our masks and come up with our campaign and stuff. And oh man, the response from everybody is amazing. Like this was initially just like, I mean, we're going through a tough time right now, as a country and stuff, but through this campaign, like all the kind words and the support and just it's just so much love, and I really appreciate that, So we're actually we met our goal yesterday of how many shirts and masks we wanted to make, but we are still continuing to take orders, so we're still trying to get past that and still keep going the distance, And I know that there's like a timer on the side that says you only have like 8 days until this is over, 7, but we can change that. that's kind of just like a personal goal for us and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just so thankful that people are responding to it, you know, and I didn't think that we would be able to get where we are right now because all the funds that we're getting, we're not keeping. We're donating it to the Navajo Nation during this time. And there are the indigenous communities that are getting hit right now. And if anybody knows, like, if they know that a certain community needs help, please hit me up. You know, like we were talking about that earlier, me and some of the other Neoglyphix members, like, you know, if there's any communities out right now that need help, like, please hit me up on my Facebook or my Instagram, and you know, we'll see what we can do because you know, I know that there are other indigenous communities out there that are being hit as hard. I think I looked at White Mountain yesterday, White Mountain Apache, and they're getting just as hit harder, if not worse, than the Navajo Nation right now.
Damn. I mean, I'm glad it's working, and you're still gonna fundraise. This is it. Man. When artists come together and you're doing something like this, that's huge. Thank you for doing that. Everybody's trying to reach out right now because our leadership and you know is not there. So I'm all trying not to cry right quick.
There's a lot of times that I've tried not to cry through this whole like thing because like I said, like I just feel the love and the support and you know, it's amazing. Like I don't know, it's just like you said, like you feel like you're gonna cry. I feel like I'm gonna cry every time I'm like, oh my God, you shared the post. Thank you.
Because it makes your heart swell. You're like, damn, like, because people love each other. You know what I mean? That's a real thing. Like, you know, that's why I miss having my space. I miss having people around making noise and talking smack. Like, I miss all of that, you know, and so. But it has shown a lot of who comes together to do things and get things done. So, Donna is saying, "I'm so proud of you, Rezmosita."
That's my aunt out in Boston.
Oh, that's cool. But she's chiming in. I love it so much. You know what? There's just so many things that I hope that they can get out there and they could check you out. But I was thinking about all the things you've worked on, but you've done a lot of work up in New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, when I started painting in 2003, that's where I was painting for the longest time. Like around the time that I started painting, it was just amazing. Like all the people that were taking off. It was really cool. Like I don't know if you know the Foundations of Freedom crew. Yeah, they're out of New Mexico. They're amazing, but they started really taking off around the time that I started writing. So their energy and then the people that I was painting with all the time, like it was just so much creativity, like being like reciprocated and like it was just so much like I was bombing, I was tagging, we were, you know, leaving town to go to hip hop shows, to breakdancing shows. And I owe a big amount of gratitude. My homie Parrish, he's the one that really took me under his wing and just like didn't cut me no slack, you know, was always like, oh, that's ugly. You need to try another letters, Rezmo. What's wrong with you? Or you need to hit hard, or, you know, and it feels like I was a toy at the time when I first started, and I was painting with all these people that were amazing that had been doing graffiti for so long, but they really took me under their wing and they're just like pushing me to paint with them, paint with them, paint with them. And I just got really lucky, you know? And yeah, at the time, like I said, it was booming. I would start a job and they'd be like, oh, you can't have the weekend off. And I'm like, I gotta go to a hip hop show. And they're like, yeah, you can't have it off. I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to quit. Okay, bye. So a lot of it was, you know, just I did a lot of couch surfing back in the day. I would go and paint and bomb and then wake up in the morning and they'd be like, let's go paint again, you know? So for a long time, that was the beginning of my my graffiti art career, I guess. But there were so many people that just really rooted for me, you know, like just people that had been painting for so long, and they just took me in and really just forced me to like get better, I guess, like constantly clowning on me, like get better, get better, get better, you know. So But like I said,
Hey,
all these people were starting around the same time that I was. Well, not they probably had a little bit more, but like the break dancers, the MCs like Wake and Defy, like they were starting to go out and do these shows, and we would travel and tour and go to all these places, and sometimes like it was just so many places at so many different times, you know. It was such a amazing part of my life. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would get from something like that to where I am right now, you know, like just this, you know, I don't know. Like I said, you know, where your graffiti roots are just like bombing and tagging and going, doing all these crazy things. And, you know, one night you're at a scaffold, the next night you're, you're, you're here, you know, you're doing these shows. And there were shows that I did this year that I never thought that I would be able to do, you know, because I don't consider myself a professional painter or anything like that. Um,
oh wow.
yeah, no, like exhibitions and galleries and all this stuff. And I'm just like, wow, I never thought I would be here.
But you just did the Indian market too, right?
I did in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty huge too.
Yeah, like I was so like shocked, you know, like for them to consider me for their gala event, like it's all prestigious and beautiful, and they're like, yeah, you know, you're one of our top three artists that we really wanted. And I'm like, me? Me? You
That's
want me?
dope.
But you know, it's been such a blessing. Like I never thought I'd be out in California painting and being invited to shows and you know, all this stuff. And I'm so excited for, you know, after this whole thing passes and, you know, to get back out there and start doing these shows again. And I think that's my long-term goal is just to be able to travel again and travel with my art. You know, I don't really care if I make money. I don't really care to like monetary. I just want to be able to travel all these different places and meet more artists. You know, that's I think for me that's my long-term goal is just to meet all these other artists and you know collaborate and I don't know, just have a good time.
Whatever it's called, the adrenaline rush. And I miss
Yeah.
the adrenaline rush myself because I'm right behind you. I'm like, dude, like you're waiting for the cops to leave or like waiting for the helicopter to go home. You're like,
Yeah.
damn, go home, man. You know, and to do this now where you're, like you said, whether it be even trade or making money from it, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, no, oh, also at the gala, you painted one of the drums though.
I did. I did. Um, uh,
What happens to those afterwards?
Well, the reason for well, their whole exhibition was about missing and murdered Indigenous women, and it was an art auction. So essentially, when we paint the drums, they would be put up for an auction. I think they were starting at like the low thousands, I want to say. But I never made any money off of it. Like it was all purely out of like donation. So you just go, they do this art auction, and all the money that they got, they put to the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Fund that they had. So I think when I walked in there within the first half hour, I was looking around and there was like this yellow thing on my drum, and I was like, what does that mean? What are you guys doing with it, you know? And then they're like, oh no, this already sold. And I was like, it's sold? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, it sold. So I was really surprised because we were there in the first half hour and, you know, there's so many beautiful drums. And then, you know, mine was sold and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, you know, because at first you walk in and you're like, oh my God, I'm with all these amazing artists that have been doing Indian market for so long. And here I'm like this little like graffiti writer. And I didn't think like, it would just be one of the first ones to sell, you know, like I had high hopes, but at the same time, you're like, this isn't a really prestigious gala and stuff like that. So it was a really amazing experience for me, you know?
No, hell yeah. I love that. You know what I mean? Like that's dope. Like people, and then I think people that go to auctions, they know what they're getting, and the fact that they bid it, like they knew it was up. They're like, let's do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Damn. You make me miss being outside more. I'm like, damn it. You know,
Yeah. No,
'cause
and
it's
that's what
kind
it
of
was, is that it's a big bummer right now for me to have to stay inside because You know, when I became a mom, I wanted to dedicate a lot of my time to being a mom. You know, I wanted to be there for my children, hang up the cans, so to speak, and you know, try to not be as wild anymore. So I really like focused on being a mom, being there for everything, all their plays, all their naps, all the feedings, like. So the last 2 years has been focused on getting back into, you know, being out there, going to these shows, doing all the stuff that I wanted to do before that I kept saying no to, you know, because my kids, you know, are first. Like that's what I wanted them to know, remember is mom was always there. Not, oh, mom wasn't always there. She was always traveling, going to, you know, all these different places, you know. But now they're a little bit older, so the last 2 years, it's really been about saying yes to all these shows that I have been asked for in the past that didn't do. But the amazing thing about it is that my kids can be there, you know, they're like, dang, mom could get down, you know. But there's also a lot of questions from my oldest now, like, mom, isn't graffiti illegal? Mom, aren't you gonna get arrested? And so we're like, no, don't worry. And if you do, you better have your bail money ready.
Right? I was gonna say you gotta teach them how to drive. Just like go get you and stuff.
Yeah, just keep the car warm, okay? Let me just walk into the train yard for a second. I'll be right back.
See, but how cool is that? Like, you sound like a cool ass mom. Like, what? Like, that is so cool. Like, that's so special. Like, to like, everything you said, that to be there for their shows and all these things, because that you're right. That's what kids are gonna remember, and the fact that they can actually understand who you are as an artist now better and can ask you deep questions like that. Like, isn't that illegal? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, so
yeah,
it's neat.
and which kind of brings me to, I guess, my next thing is I'm part of an art collective called Neoglyphix. And we're, you know, essentially getting back to our roots of, you know, our people started writing in caves and petroglyphs and stuff like that. So we're essentially doing that, but like with a different medium, you know, like more contemporary. So we're trying to change the perception of graffiti. And I think in the last like 5-10 years, like it's just being accepted more, I guess, and looking at it a little different, not just like, oh, you know, I think when I first started, only gangsters do it, and only these people tag up the walls, and oh, they have all this, you know, damage to our buildings and everything like that. But I mean, in the last years that I've been out here in Arizona, like there's really been a shift on how people view graffiti, you know? And as part of Neoglyphics, like that's kind of like what we're trying to do is like change the perception, especially as indigenous people, you know? Our people have done this for so long, for thousands of years. We're just doing it in a different, you know, medium, and that being the spray can. So that is kind of like basically what I tell my kids. Like I tell my son, you know, like yeah, it might be illegal if you're gonna go do it at somebody's like house or something like that, and they don't give you permission, but like it's just starting to look different, you know, as an art form. And actually moving to Arizona, like I have never met so many like indigenous female graffiti writers. Like there's so many in Arizona, like Lady Rise and Yuku and Rogue. Like they essentially are who I like look up to, you know, because they're rocking it with us, and we're vibing off each other, and you know, like it's amazing, you know, like I've never been around so many females that were dope, and I'm like, wow, you know, and are really just so chill, you know, and that's what it just gets you going, like creatively, like, okay, what can we do? What can we make? What can, you know? So it's amazing. Like living in Arizona, at first I was like, don't call me an Arizona graffiti writer. I'm not an Arizona graffiti writer. I'm from New Mexico, you know? But now it's like, wow, you know, like, I guess I'm here 10 years now, and I guess I kind of am now. But yeah, just having these like dope people, you know, that you can vibe and collaborate with, it's just, it's amazing. It's amazing to be out here with them.
Right, and see, that's what I mean. You're living history. No, but you know what, Rezmo, I want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with us and letting us know how to get a hold of the fundraiser so people can go out and support. It's Rezmo on Instagram, right?
It's Rezmoski. It's
Rezmoski.
Rezmoski. It's funny thing because my grandpa, he used to call me Notinsky all the time, and then he just like that. My uncle started calling me that. Then my dad started calling me that. So it was always Notinsky, Notinsky, Notinsky. So when I was making a handle for myself, I was like, Rezmoski, okay, I like that, you know, and I think it's because he was in World War II and he was overseas and all the skis and, you know, so yeah,
Well,
so it's
I'm thinking about doing some Rezmoski.
And then on Facebook, I'm under Resi McFly.
Right. Thank you so much, Rezmo, again. Please, I'm so happy to know a mom who's a graffiti artist, like getting down. That's dope.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on here. Like, it's been really cool talking to you. And, you know, I look forward to doing stuff in the future, you know, like once we're out of these caves and these houses and everything, like coming out and seeing the light for the first time. Like, I can't wait to, you know, collaborate and work with everybody because, you know, that, like I said, that's my long-term goal. It's not to make money or anything. It's just to collaborate and get down.
Was that your one dream? Was that your one
you know,
dream?
yeah. As an artist, like I don't, like I said, like I don't want it. It was always hard for me to sell stuff. Like, you know, it's really hard for me to like sell my work or, you know, all this stuff. But now that I finally kind of got past that a little, I'm still like, I don't feel fulfilled. Like, you know, just selling my art all the time. Like for me, it's like collaborating and wanting to travel and go over there and have them come over here. And, you know, it's just, that's my long-term goal is to keep saying yes and doing these shows and going to meet people and painting on walls and showing my kids, you know, this is what I do. And, you know, they're creative themselves. Like, so once they see that, hopefully that kind of gets them going. I'm not saying that I want them to be graffiti writers, but in their own right, you know, like for them to paint or draw or do whatever that they're really into.
And look at that. They're gonna be graffiti writers. Oh,
oh my God. No,
so
my heart can't take it.
All right, we'll see each other again soon when quarantine's all done.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you. Right. We'll see you later.
Thanks so much for being with us.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye.